The silent screams of the sacred temple. The temple was made of dark stone glowing with soft green symbols. Inside, everything was silent, but the air felt heavy, like something terrible was about to happen. At the center of the temple floor, under the tall pillars, a young alien girl lay flat on the ground. Her wrists were tied with golden bands. Her glowing skin trembled. Her long white hair was spread like a river around her. Her wide, bright blue eyes looked at the priests above her. The priests wore red and gold robes. Their faces were covered with metal masks, showing no emotion. One priest raised his staff, chanting in a strange language. The other priests surrounded the girl, pressing her down with heavy hands. "She broke sacred rules," one priest said in a deep voice. "She must be punished." The crowd stood in silence around the edges of the temple. No one said a word. No one moved. Everyone feared the priests too much. They had seen what happened to those who questioned the sacred laws. But one person didn't follow those laws. He was not from this planet. A tall human man stood near the back of the crowd. His name was Lucas, a soldier from Earth. He had come to this alien world as part of a peace mission. His job was to observe, not interfere, but when he saw the alien girl on the ground, something changed. The translator in his ear struggled to catch the priest's words. Still, he understood enough. "She's just a child," Lucas muttered to himself. He saw the girl's eyes. She didn't look like someone evil. She looked scared, helpless, hurt. Her thin arms shook as she tried to breathe. The priests were crushing her chest with their boots. Lucas felt his heart pound. His training told him to stay silent. Earth had agreements with the local leaders. Humans were not to interfere in religious matters, but Lucas didn't care about rules at that moment. When one of the priests raised a burning rod above the girl's back, Lucas stepped forward. "That's enough," he said loud and clear. Derriere. Crowd turned in shock. A human had spoken inside the temple against the priests. One of the priests looked at Lucas. His eyes glowed red under his mask. "You do not belong here, outsider," the priest said. "Step back, or face the same punishment." Lucas didn't move. He took one step closer instead. His hand rested on the side of his belt where a small stun weapon was hidden under his cloak. "She's not a criminal," Lucas said calmly. "She's terrified. What crime could a girl like her commit?" She spoke to the sacred flame. The priest growled. "She is cursed. If she is not punished, the gods will punish us all." Lucas looked down at the girl again. Her lips were bleeding. Her cheek had a red bruise, but her eyes, they stared at Lucas, full of confusion and hope. He saw something else in her face. Something human. Something innocent. Lucas clenched his fists. "I don't believe your gods want this," he said. "Let her go." The priests hissed like snakes. The tallest one slammed his staff on the floor. A shock wave spread through the temple, making the crowd fall to their knees. But Lucas stayed standing. The alien girl blinked in shock. She had never seen someone resist the priest's power. She had lived her whole life in fear. She thought no one would ever help her. Now this strange human was standing between her and the people who hurt her every day. Lucas took another step. The lead priest shouted, "Seize the outsider!" Guards from the temple entrance moved quickly. Two charged toward Lucas, but Lucas was faster. In one smooth motion, he pulled his stun blade from his belt and pointed it at the nearest guard. The weapon hummed with blue light. "I don't want to fight," he said. "But I will." The guards paused. The crowd was now whispering, unsure of what would happen next. And the girl? She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her tears stopped. Her heart beat faster. Something inside her, something long asleep, began to wake up. The priests looked at each other. They weren't used to resistance. Not from humans. Not from anyone. Lucas kept his eyes on them. "Let her go," he said again. "Or I swear, this won't end the way you want." The lead priest raised his staff again. Lucas braced for a fight. But then, from the back of the temple, a voice spoke. "Wait!" Everyone turned. A new figure walked forward, an elder from the ruling council. "What's going on here?" the elder asked, frowning. The moment was broken, but not forgotten. Lucas slowly lowered his weapon. The girl lay still, staring at the man who had stopped the beating. Her lips moved. "Why? Why would you help me?" Lucas looked down at her and simply said, "Because someone had to. You touch her again, you'll regret it." The temple was quiet now, but not calm. The priests had backed away from the glowing alien girl, but their masked faces were still full of anger. The girl lay shaking on the floor, her white hair sticking to her skin, her eyes blinking slowly. She was still breathing, but barely. Lucas stood in front of her like a wall. He didn't know what came over him. He had never stepped into another world's sacred traditions like this before. But when he saw them hurting her, something inside him snapped. Maybe it was her eyes. Maybe it was the way no one else did anything. Or maybe it was just the human thing to do. A younger priest stepped forward, hands shaking, voice raised. "You dare block a divine punishment? She carries the cursed blood. You'll doom us all." Lucas didn't flinch. He kept his eyes on the man, but his voice was calm and cold. "If your gods enjoy torture, then maybe they're not worth following." The elder from the council who had just entered raised his hand. "Enough. This human may not understand our ways, but we cannot allow more chaos inside the sacred grounds." Lucas turned to the elder. "Then help me stop this. She needs a doctor, not more bruises." But the priests weren't ready to walk away. The lead priest's voice turned sharp. "She must be cleansed, now. The sacred fire is already reacting to her defilement." At that, the glowing green flames around the temple's pillars flickered strangely. A loud hum vibrated in the air, deep and threatening. The alien girl opened her mouth weakly. "Please. I didn't mean to speak to the fire. It called to me." Lucas crouched beside her, gently placing a hand on her arm. "You don't have to talk right now, I've got you." She looked at his hand. No one had touched her gently before, not in her whole life. Then a shout rang out. A guard, bigger than the rest, charged forward with a chain whip in hand. "Step aside, Earthling." Lucas stood, blocking the girl again. "I said don't touch her." The guard didn't listen. The whip cracked through the air and snapped toward Lucas's face, but the human moved fast. With one sharp motion, he caught the whip midair and yanked hard. The guard stumbled forward, shocked, and before he could regain balance, zap. Lucas's stun blade was already pressed to the guard's chest. One short blast sent the man falling unconscious to the floor. The crowd gasped. Even the flames around the temple stilled for a moment, as if they were watching. Lucas's voice was calm but dangerous now. "You touch her again, and you'll regret it." One of the younger aliens in the crowd whispered, "He's not afraid of the gods." The elder councilman stepped forward again, sweat on his forehead. "Lucas, please. This is holy ground. Violence here may start a war." Lucas looked straight into the old man's eyes. "Then maybe your people should stop hurting children in the name of gods." Silence. The alien girl, still weak, reached up and touched Lucas's leg, just to check if he was real. Her hand was so small, her skin cold. Lucas bent down again. "Can you walk?" She shook her head, so he picked her up, carefully, gently. The priests shouted behind him, but he didn't turn around. "You'll burn for this, human," one of them yelled. Lucas paused at the edge of the steps. He looked over his shoulder, his voice steady. "Then I'll burn for something I believe in." And with the girl in his arms, he stepped out of the temple and into the daylight. The alien sun was bright, washing over them both. The girl turned her face toward the sky. For the first time, she wasn't looking down. She whispered, "What's your name?" "Lucas," he replied, "and I'm not leaving you behind." Tears rolled down her cheeks, but this time they weren't from fear. They were from hope. Her chains were not just metal. Lucas walked quickly through the narrow stone streets, holding the alien girl in his arms. Her body felt light, but her silence was heavy. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. Her head rested against his shoulder, eyes half closed. People stared from their windows as he passed. A human carrying a temple girl? Some gasped, others hid. No one dared stop him. Far behind them, the sound of temple bells began to ring. It was not a song, it was a warning. Lucas turned into a quiet alley and stepped inside a small, hidden house. He gently placed the girl onto a soft mat on the floor. The room was warm, safe. The door was locked. No priest could reach her here. He knelt beside her. "You're safe now." She didn't answer. He handed her water. She stared at it like it was something dangerous. "It's okay. Drink." Her shaking hands took the cup. She drank slowly, carefully. Then her body began to tremble again. Not from cold, but from something else. Fear. Lucas noticed the golden bands still locked on her wrists. They looked beautiful, but when he touched one, the girl flinched hard and gasped. "They burn," she whispered. "Always burning, even when cold." Lucas carefully took out a small tool from his bag. "Let's get these off." She stared at him with wide eyes. "You're not allowed. Only the high priests can. I don't care what they allow." With slow, precise movements, he broke the lock on the first band. A tiny spark flicked out, and the girl's arm jerked. A soft sigh left her lips. She looked at her bare wrist like it belonged to someone else. Lucas unlocked the second. Now free, both wrists were marked with deep red scars. He gently held her hands. "You're not their prisoner anymore." She didn't pull away, but her lips trembled. "No one has ever touched me without pain," she said. "Not once." Lucas looked at her, really looked. Not as a strange alien girl, but as someone broken, someone who had never known kindness. He asked softly, "What's your name?" The girl hesitated, then whispered, "Sira." It was the first time she had spoken her name out loud to anyone. Lucas gave a small nod. "Sira. That's a beautiful name." For a moment there was silence between them. Then she whispered again, "Why would a human help me?" Lucas leaned, back against the wall. "Where I come from, people like you are protected, not punished. We fight against cruelty, or at least we try." Sira looked confused. "But humans are dangerous. That's what they taught us, that you destroy everything you touch." Lucas gave a tired smile. "Maybe some do, but not all of us." She looked down at her wrists again. "I always thought my chains were part of me, that I was born to wear them, that the pain was normal." Lucas said nothing. He just listened. Sira closed her eyes. "When I was little, they told me I had a cursed light inside, that if I didn't obey, it would destroy the world. So I kept quiet. I let them hurt me. I let them feed off my energy, because I thought maybe they were right." Lucas spoke gently. "And now, do you still believe them?" Sira looked up, her voice soft but steady. "Now I don't know what to believe, but when you stood between me and their whips, something inside me broke." Lucas tilted his head. "Broke?" She nodded. "The silence, the chains, the fear. It cracked just a little." Lucas gave a small nod. "That crack? That's where freedom begins." Sira stared at him for a long moment. Then her lips curled into the smallest, shyest smile, but the moment didn't last long. Suddenly, a flicker of green light passed by the window. Lucas stood fast, peering outside. A flying drone, one of the temple's eyes, floated past the roof. "They're searching?" Lucas said quietly. "They'll come for you." Sira's voice turned cold. "They always come. But this time," Lucas said, "they'll find out I don't run." Sira looked up at him again. Her voice was shaking, but not from fear, from something new. "You're not like the others." Lucas gave her a calm smile. "No," he said. "I'm human. The temple hunts. Her blood night had fallen over the alien city, but it was not peaceful. The skies above the rooftops shimmered with silver-blue lights. Strange machines, temple drones, moved like silent birds, scanning everything below. Each one carried a glowing symbol of the priesthood and the power to kill. Inside the small house, Lucas sat by the window, holding a scanner of his own. He watched the patrols carefully. Their movements were getting closer. "They've doubled their search," he muttered. "They know I took you." Behind him, Sira sat with her knees pulled to her chest. She was wearing a simple tunic now, her bruises cleaned, her arms finally free of chains. But her eyes still held that same deep fear. "They won't stop," she whispered. "I'm not just a runaway to them. I'm something sacred or dangerous or both." Lucas turned to her. "What do they want from you?" She hesitated, then stood slowly. Her feet were bare on the wooden floor. She walked over to a corner where a single candle burned, casting a warm, flickering light on her face. "When I was 6, she said softly, "they tested my blood and locked me away. They said I had the spark. Only 1 in a million is born with it." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "What's the spark?" Sira looked at the flame. "Power from the old gods, energy that can destroy cities, or heal them." Lucas blinked. "Wait, you can do that?" She shook her head. "I don't know. They never taught me. They only drained me, used my spark to light their temples, power their machines, and scare their enemies." Lucas's jaw tightened. "So you're not a girl to them. You're a battery." Sira nodded slowly. "But now that I've escaped, they're afraid. Afraid I might learn what I really am." Lucas clenched his fists. "Then let's make them regret ever using you." Suddenly, the scanner in Lucas's hand beeped, multiple life forms closing fast. He moved to the door, locking the steel bar across it. "They're here," he said. Sira stood frozen. "They'll burn this house down, just like they did with the last one." Lucas grabbed his pack and handed her a gray cloak. "Then we don't stay." They moved out the back door, slipping into the shadows between buildings. The city was quiet, but the air buzzed with tension. Drones floated above them like mechanical hawks. "Follow me," Lucas whispered. He led her through tight alleyways and across a collapsed bridge. Each time a drone passed, they pressed flat against the walls. But the machines were getting smarter, faster. At the edge of the city, Lucas stopped. Before them was the ash zone, a wide wasteland of old ruins and broken machines. No one lived there. It was forbidden land, off limits, but it was also the only place without drones. "Can you walk through it?" he asked her. Sira looked at the endless black dust. "I was born in a cage. Never walked more than 10 steps alone." Lucas held out his hand. "Then take one now, with me." She took his hand. It felt warm, steady, alive. Together, they stepped into the ash. Behind them, a priest's voice echoed from a hovering speaker. "Return the vessel, or both of you will be punished by divine law." Lucas turned, raised a hand, and gave the drones a very human gesture, the kind that didn't need translation. The voice screamed louder. "You defy the gods." But Lucas only smiled. "I've fought worse than your gods." As they crossed the wasteland, a strange sound hummed from below. The ground itself felt alive, old tech sleeping beneath the dust. Suddenly, the earth rumbled. A large figure rose from the black soil, a temple hunter, half machine, half alien, with glowing eyes, and a spear made of charged lightning. Sira gasped and stumbled backward. "They sent a hunter!" Lucas pulled her behind him and raised his stun blade. "Then let's show him what happens when you hunt the wrong prey." The hunter stepped forward. Lucas didn't back down. Sira looked at the monster, then at Lucas, and then at her own hands. She didn't know how to use her power, but for the first time in her life, she wanted to try. The human's rage awakens the forbidden power. The temple hunter stood like a giant made of nightmares. Its body was a mix of metal and old alien bones. glowing with symbols of ancient power. Sparks jumped across its arms. Its eyes glowed red, locked onto Lucas and Sierra. It spoke with a voice that sounded like steel grinding on stone. "You are enemies of the Holy Order. You will be cleansed." Lucas didn't move. He pushed Sierra gently behind him and held up his stun blade. The weapon buzzed with blue light, tiny flashes jumping between its edges. His jaw was tight, his breathing slow. He'd fought machines before, but nothing like this. The hunter raised its spear. Lucas shouted, "Run, Sierra!" But she didn't move. The spear flew through the air, burning bright as lightning. Lucas jumped aside at the last second, the weapon missing him by inches and slamming into the ground, turning dust into fire. Lucas rolled and came up fast, blade in hand. He charged at the hunter and slashed, but the blade bounced off the armor with a loud clang. Sierra screamed, "It's too strong." Lucas gritted his teeth. "Everything breaks if you hit it enough." The hunter punched and Lucas was thrown into a pile of broken stone. His ribs screamed in pain. He coughed hard, tasting blood. Sierra ran to him. "You're hurt. Please stop." Lucas looked up at her with fire in his eyes. "Not until you're safe." The hunter walked toward them, slow and certain. Each step cracked the ground. Sierra turned and stood between the machine and the human. The hunter raised its arm. "Step aside. Vessel, you are property of the temple." Sierra was shaking. Her legs wanted to run. Her hands trembled. But then she looked down at Lucas, bleeding, bruised, and still trying to stand for her. Something inside her changed. She turned back to the hunter, her voice soft but steady. "I'm not your property." A spark danced on her fingertip. The hunter stopped. Sierra closed her eyes. Her chest rose and fell, slow and deep. She remembered all the times she had been told to hide, to kneel, to stay silent. But now, in this moment, she was done being afraid. Her hands began to glow. First gold, then white, then blinding blue. The hunter raised its arm to strike, but Sierra raised hers faster. A pulse of pure energy exploded from her chest, silent and bright like a newborn star. The blast hit the hunter full force. Its armor shattered. The glowing symbols, cracked. Its red eyes dimmed. It flew backward across the ash, crashing into ruins and vanishing under stone and dust. Silence. Lucas blinked through the glowing air. "What was that?" Sierra stood still, her eyes glowing softly now, her hair floating as if moved by invisible wind. The energy faded, but something had clearly awakened in her. She turned to Lucas, slowly sinking to her knees. I didn't know I could do that." Lucas crawled over and caught her before she collapsed completely. "You saved us." Sierra's voice shook. "I didn't mean to hurt anything. I just wanted it to stop." Lucas smiled gently. "That's what power should be for." He looked out at the destroyed hunter. Smoke rose from the wreckage. A group of far-off drones had witnessed everything, and were already turning away. Vanishing into the clouds, they saw that, Lucas muttered. Sierra nodded. "They'll come with more next time. Worse ones." Lucas carefully helped her up. "Then we'll be ready." She looked at him with soft eyes. "You're not scared of me now?" He shook his head. "I was more scared when you were in chains." Sierra gave a tired smile. "You're a strange human. And you," he said with a smirk, "are the most powerful girl I've ever met." Together, they limped deeper into the wasteland, toward the forgotten ruins where the priests couldn't follow. Yet, above them, the stars blinked silently, and far away, in the high temple tower, the head priest watched the memory recording of what Sierra had done. His hands trembled. "The vessel has awakened," he whispered. "If she learns to control it, the gods themselves may fall." The betrayer, among them, the ruins were silent, deep inside the ash zone. Black towers stood, broken like dead trees. Old machines lay buried under dust. Once long ago, this place had been a city of light. Now only shadows remained. Lucas and Sierra found shelter in an old underground chamber. The door was thick, the walls covered in faded writing from a forgotten time. It was cold, but safe. Or so they thought. A small rebel group had been hiding in the ruins, a mix of aliens who once served the temple but escaped. Some were warriors, others were scholars, and a few were just tired of kneeling. Their leader was a tall alien woman named Jalin. Her horns were broken at the tips, a punishment she had earned for refusing to hurt children. Jalin stared at Sierra with wide eyes. "So, you're the vessel?" Sierra nodded quietly. Jalin looked at Lucas. "You brought her here? Are you insane? The entire temple will come for her." Lucas crossed his arms. They were already coming. She has no place left to hide. Jalin looked torn. "You don't understand. If they track her here, they'll burn this entire zone down, including us." Sierra stepped forward. "Then I'll leave." Lucas looked at her in shock. "No." But Sierra's voice was calm. "I won't cause more pain. I won't let others die because of me." Jalin watched her. Something changed in her eyes. She placed a hand on Sierra's shoulder. "You sound like a true leader." That night, the group shared food and stories. Sierra sat beside a fire listening to the others. One old alien told her how the temple lied to everyone, using fear to keep people weak. "You're not cursed," the elder said. "You're the proof that power can be kind." Sierra looked down at her hands. "It doesn't feel like mine yet." Lucas smiled. "Then we'll help you claim it." She gave him a small smile back, but deep in the shadows of the ruined chamber, someone was watching. His name was Kor, one of the rebels. Quiet. Always listening. Always near the comms unit. No one knew his real past. While the others slept, Kor activated a hidden transmitter. He whispered into it, "The vessel is here, and the human is with her." He didn't wait for a reply. He just smiled. The next morning, Jalin planned to move the group deeper into the ruins. "We'll keep changing positions every 12 hours. It's the only way to stay alive." Lucas helped Sierra pack supplies. "You okay?" She nodded. "Better than I've ever been. Scared, but stronger." Just then, a loud boom shook the ground. The air outside turned red. Sierra ran to the entrance. Her eyes widened. The sky above the ruins was now filled with black flying ships, temple assault crafts. Their engines roared like monsters. Lucas shouted, "How did they find us?" Jalin yelled, "We were hidden. No signal should have reached them." But Lucas already knew. "There's a traitor," he said. Sierra's eyes went to Kor, who was now slowly backing away toward the tunnels. Jalin roared, "Kor, you coward! What did you do?" Kor grinned. "You think the temple would really lose track of their most sacred weapon? I was never one of you. I was always one of them." Lucas pulled his blade, but Kor had already thrown a flash charge. Boom! Light filled the chamber, blinding everyone. When it cleared, Kor was gone. Above them, temple forces began to descend from ropes and dropships. Lucas grabbed Sierra's hand. "We need to move, now!" Jalin called out. "There's an old escape tunnel under the fire pit. It leads to the deep vaults. They won't follow you that far down." Lucas looked at her. "Come with us." She shook her head. "No, I'll hold them off." Sierra's voice trembled. "You'll die." Jalin smiled. "Then I'll die standing." Lucas opened the hatch under the fire pit. "Go, Sierra." Etienne hesitated, but then nodded. The last thing she saw before the hatch closed was Jalin grabbing a spear and roaring into battle. Deep underground, the air was cooler. The tunnel walls glowed faintly from old energy lines. The sounds of war above faded as they ran. Sierra's heart pounded. "We trusted him," she whispered. "Kor." Lucas looked ahead. "Next time we won't just run." Sierra stopped. Suddenly, "What is it?" Lucas asked. She pointed at a metal door up ahead, marked with the same glowing symbols she once saw in the temple. She touched it gently, and the door opened. Inside was a chamber filled with old machines, tall crystal, towers, and a pulsing blue core. Lucas stepped back. "What is this place?" Sierra answered without even thinking. "Where the spark was born." Judgment of fire and soul. The hidden chamber was glowing with blue light. Old machines stood tall around them, humming softly, like they had waited for someone to return. The room smelled of dust and energy. Strange symbols floated in the air, written in light dancing like fireflies. Sierra stepped forward. The air around her changed, warmer, lighter. The energy from the machines began to move toward her, as if they recognized her, as if they had always been part of her. Lucas watched, amazed. "What is this place?" Sierra didn't speak at first. Her eyes were glowing now, soft and bright. "This is the birthplace of the spark," she finally whispered. "Where the old gods gave power to the first vessels, long before the temples, before the lies." Suddenly the machines lit up. Lines of light moved through the walls and floor. The chamber had awakened. Lucas stepped closer. "What's it doing?" Sierra placed her hand on the central crystal tower. The moment she touched it, the entire chamber pulsed. A voice echoed from the walls. Not male or female. Something ancient. Vessel recognized. Core unlocked. Final trial begins. Sierra's breath caught in her throat. Trial? The floor, below them, shifted. A new platform rose in the center of the room, and standing on it, the head priest. But it wasn't the real one. It was made of light, a memory, a test. The illusion spoke. "You carry the spark, but do you carry the soul?" Lucas stepped in front of her. "Is this another trick?" Sierra held up a hand. "No. This is something older than the priests, older than the lies. A final question." The light priest pointed a glowing spear at her. "You have the power to destroy your enemies. Burn the temple, burn the priests. Burn the entire system, will you?" Sierra looked down at her hands. She remembered the pain, the chains, the cold floor of the temple, the screams of others. She had every reason to say yes. But then she looked at Lucas, and she remembered kindness. Warm food, a soft voice, a hand that didn't hurt. She took a deep breath. Her voice shook, but she answered, "No, I won't burn the world. I'll change it." The light priest lowered his spear. The chamber flashed. Answer accepted. Soul and spark, united. A beam of pure golden energy shot from the core and into Sierra's body. She cried out, not in pain, but in release. Her whole body lifted, into the air. Symbols covered her skin like glowing tattoos. Her white hair floated like light. Lucas shielded his eyes. And then, silence. Sierra slowly landed back on her feet. She was glowing, calm, whole. The machines powered down one by one. The trial was over, but far above them, the battle had not stopped. Suddenly the ground shook. A message crackled through Lucas's wrist comm. "Jolene is down. The priests are coming. There's no one left to stop them." Sierra looked up. Her eyes didn't show fear anymore. "Then it's my turn." They returned to the surface. The temple forces were waiting. Dozens of soldiers, drones, and at the center, the real head priest in a giant golden suit of armor. He raised his hand. "Return the vessel, or die beside her." Sierra stepped forward. The sky above them changed color, turning deep gold. Sierra raised her arms. Her voice echoed like thunder. "I was never your vessel. I am the storm that ends you." She opened her palms and released everything. But this time it was not just light or power. It was memory. The soldiers fell to their knees, crying. Visions of the people they had hurt, the lies they had believed, the children they had chained, flooded their minds. The drones powered down. Even the head priest trembled. What are you doing to me?" Sierra stepped closer. showing you what a soul feels like." He collapsed, begging for forgiveness. But she didn't strike him. She simply turned and walked away. Lucas followed her. Days later, the temple was empty. The chains were broken. Sierra stood on a high balcony, wind in her hair. Lucas joined her. "They'll write stories about this," he said. "How the vessel brought the sky down." Sierra smiled gently. "Let them write. I'm not a goddess, I'm not a weapon, I'm just free." Lucas looked at her. "You didn't just find your freedom." He took her hand. "You gave it to others." And for the first time in her life, Sierra laughed, not from fear, but from joy.